Yesterday, I had a moment with my son that made me realize how easily we step out of our own lives. It's the first real warm day of the year where I live, one of those early spring afternoons where the sun finally feels strong again. The air smells different, bugs are suddenly out in force, and for the first time all year, you think to yourself, maybe winter is actually over this time. I trudge upstairs after the last in a rapid sequence of back-to-back meetings at my job and am greeted by a house that's strangely quiet. The doors are unlocked though, which means that my wife and my son are somewhere frolicking around outside. So I slip on my shoes and I step out into the backyard. And sure enough, there they are, having a little picnic under a tree even. My wife is sitting on the blanket knitting, my son's rolling around in the grass, and the whole scene is just one of those moments where you stop and once again remark to yourself, this is the life that I had always hoped for. My boy notices me almost instantly and he comes running up excitedly, arms outstretched. So I grab a ball and start running around with him. And we're chasing each other all over the yard for the next half hour. He's giggling like a madman. I'm in love with his little laugh, and I'm just trying to get him going as much as possible. I'm swept up in that interaction and I'm suddenly finding myself doing something that I've done since he was a tiny baby. I pick him up under his arms and I toss him up into the air. Now, these airborne moments we have, just the two of us, they are fewer and farther between these days because he's getting big and heavy. And it's been a hot minute since the last toss even, and so his eyes widen in surprise as he giggles on his way back down where I catch him in my arms. And everything feels exactly the way moments like that are supposed to feel. But then I notice something out of the corner of my eye. My wife, still seated on the picnic blanket across the yard, has her phone out. And the moment that I realize she's pointed it at us, something changes within me. It's a really subtle shift, but in that moment of noticing, I'm not just playing with my son anymore. Something foreign enters the space between us. And without even deciding to, I'm finding myself pulled along by this new compulsion. I start performing for the camera. I want the next throw to look perfect. I want the moment to appear as impressive as possible on video, So I bend my knees a little bit deeper, I suck in a bit more oxygen, and I send him skyward once again. And before I let go, I can feel a bit of tensing and resistance in my son's little body, but I push through it because now, without fully acknowledging it, I've looped him into this explicitly choreographed scene that I'm directing, I'm already picturing sitting on the couch with my wife in a few hours' time, admiring the idyllic scenario we've marked in time for us all to watch and rewatch for eternity. But another part of me knows that last throw hasn't captured the essence of the first. He's stiff and the landing where we meet is a bit awkward and my equilibrium is a bit off balance. Also, as I had one eye on the phone, so I stumble a bit on impact. I need to do better. My boy needs to be more enthusiastic, less resistant. This next one will be the one. So I roll tape, yell action in my mind's eye, and I toss him into the heavens a third time. And as I'm admiring the height I'm able to achieve on this latest take, his eyes meet mine. And my heart breaks a little bit. There is an uncertainty in his expression. His exuberant smile has contorted a bit into more of a bracing anxiety. His eyes are even wider this time. Fearful. His body is stiff as a board, and it's obvious to me in this moment that he just wants to be on solid ground. And I feel a swift punch in the gut in this moment. I realize something really uncomfortable, that I haven't been present for these last two throws. I'm not playing with my son anymore. I'm performing for the iPhone that's pointed at us. I've stepped out of the moment, actually, and into the memory that I'm crafting. So I set him down. And for a second, he just sort of stands there, not crying, but not quite himself either. He's got that deer in the headlights look kids get when their body isn't sure if the moment was fun or a little bit too much. And I'm thinking to myself, how could you do that to your son? He trusts me completely, and for a few seconds there, I put fear into that trust. If I'd tossed him one more time, I'm pretty sure that's when the tears would have come, So I kneeled down in front of him, not trying to make a big deal out of it, because if you've got kids, the second you ask, "Are you okay?" too urgently, well, suddenly they're not. So I just put my hands on his shoulders, I get down to his eye level, and I ask him, "What should we do next, buddy?" And he kind of wanders away for a second, almost like a little zombie, muttering something that I can't quite make out. His gait is a bit more steady at least, but I can tell his nervous system is still settling down. There's the slightest hint of a little whimper in there, but he's trying to be brave about it. And after a few seconds, he does shake it off. And then suddenly he's sprinting away across the yard again, screaming with laughter, trying to get me to chase him. So we go back to playing, kicking our ball across the grass, racing each other to see who can get there first, and almost instantly it's like nothing ever happened. Kids are resilient that way, aren't they? They just move on. But I couldn't shake the knot in my stomach because I kept thinking about those last two throws and how badly I wished I could rewind them. Later on that evening, I'm still replaying the look in my son's eyes when he was in the air that last time, and one uncomfortable question gradually rises to the surface. How many moments in our lives are we no longer living because we're busy documenting them? Because the phone doesn't just record the moment, it fundamentally changes it. It pulls a piece of your attention out of the present and puts it somewhere else. Into the memory, into the image, into the future moment when someone's going to be watching this video. And going even deeper, every spiritual tradition that I've ever read points to the same place. The divine isn't found in the past or the future, it's found in presence. And yesterday, for a few moments in my backyard, I stepped out of that presence and I frightened my son. And I believe that knot in my stomach was teaching me something important. Maybe God isn't hiding from us. Maybe we're the ones who keep turning a blind eye, stepping out of the only place we'll ever be able to meet him. Right here, in the moment that we're living. So here's a small experiment you could try this week. The next time you're in a moment that feels meaningful, maybe you're watching a sunset, maybe you're sitting across from someone you love, maybe your kid's doing flips on your sofa and cackling at himself. When you feel that familiar impulse to reach in and grab your phone and put it in between you and what you're witnessing, see if you can pause before giving into that habit. Remind yourself who is witnessing this moment. Take an active interest in your sensory experience. Feel your feet on the ground maybe, or notice your breathing. Notice the sound of the moment that's unfolding around you. Because something interesting happens when you do this. The moment gets bigger. It becomes richer, slower, more vivid. And you might find that you didn't actually need the video as badly as your habit suggested anyway. And speaking of bad habits,